for me, I'll kick it off with e-commerce. If you were starting off with Google Ads campaigns and you have e-commerce store, there's a bit of a difference when it comes to e-commerce versus lead gen, and later Ryan will take on lead gen. But the first and foremost for both, I would say, is definitely understanding what is success. What does success look like in your Google Ads campaign? Because success can look differently for many different types of businesses or clients. It could be just brand awareness, or it could be an opt-in, or it could be, in this case for e-commerce, I believe there should only be one primary conversion action, and that is a purchase. So if you have the purchase as your primary conversion action, then, to me, that's more than half of the battle, because a lot of the times you see a client or you see a Google Ads business, and you look, the first thing I do, I don't know about you, Ryan, but I look at their conversion settings, and I'm like, the conversion settings is that hinges upon everything on Google Ads. That's basically telling Google Ads, this is what we want to optimize for, and anything other than this, we don't want it. So if you don't have purchases, if you're running an e-commerce campaign as the primary action for conversions, then you're really shooting yourself in the foot. And for me personally, I like to also do add to cart as a secondary, and also begin checkout. And a lot of the times you see that, and that's kind of like I would say, big three for e-commerce is conversions being the primary action, then add to cart, and begin checkout as a secondary action. And you can get a lot of data from that. You could start to see, okay, why is there conversions, or why is there no conversions and a lot of add to cart and begin checkout? And you start to dissect that funnel of where the person is in the journey and where they stop, or where they go all the way through. Do they go ahead and do the purchase? Or do you see, like, maybe on the weekends, there's a lot of add to carts and not a lot of conversions? You could really drill down, with the data when you get these things right, especially for an e-commerce client. What about you, Ryan? How does it look on lead gen for you?
Well, I'm just going to quickly pick up on something that you mentioned there, because for lead generation and e-commerce, excuse me, the lead generation and e-commerce, is it really easy to just go in? Like, could a business owner, for example, just go in and set up conversion tracking, especially for e-commerce? I don't think so, right? Because of the dynamic values.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think a client, if they were just a business owner creating this for themselves, running in, I don't think they'd be able to do both, So yes, I definitely agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think since we're keeping things really top level, I think I don't want to kind of give people wrong information and be like, oh, this is just something like, you own like Bill's plumbing service or something like that. You can go in and, set up your conversion value. If you're selling your products, for example, you can go in and set up conversion value and conversion tracking just like that. It's not like that. You're going to have to probably work with either a Google Ads specialist like Gene and I, or find a conversion tracking specialist to go in. And because there's an alteration of the code, there's a lot of things that go into it. So just so we're giving you the most amount of information to be able to go away and start that first step. And it very much is that first step. I think as soon as you have the Google Ads account created and loaded up, number one thing that you should do after adding in the billing information is really get conversion tracking sorted, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's lead generation. And I would say that for lead generation, it is slightly easier, because really what you're tracking are form fills, are phone calls, maybe click to call, click to email. Although I would say that they're more micro conversions, because if somebody is on their phone and they click to call or click to email, they're not necessarily going to follow through with a phone call or an email. It's just showing that people are engaging with that. Whereas if it is actually you're tracking a certain phone number and people have called that, then that is a conversion because somebody's getting in touch with you. If somebody's filled out a contact form and you're tracking the submit button or the thank you page, that is a conversion. That's a macro conversion. That is the main primary action that you should be tracking and optimizing for when it comes to your Google Ads campaigns. So yeah, I would say that conversion tracking is probably the most important thing that you can get right in your Google Ads account from day one. And you'd be surprised to see, I don't know about Eugene, but I see so many accounts where conversion tracking has not been set up, or we don't have the full picture and certain things aren't set up. Some really important ones on websites. I mean, do you see that quite frequently?
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of leads to the first point that you made earlier. For to create the conversion settings, there's a lot of things that need to talk, and there's several ways to do it. So I would definitely encourage, if this isn't your ability to be able to get on Google Tag Manager, or put code here and there and verify it, to just outsource it. Just outsource it to somebody on Fiverr Pro. If you were to ever have a management package with us, that comes with it. So any setup like that for conversion, add to cart, begin checkout, as a client or someone that's looking out there, maybe you're looking at me and Ryan, and you're trying to see our processes of how a client would be in our portfolio. For all our clients, we set that up, and we make sure that that is like set up in the very like first 1 or 2 days of your management with us, and we take care of everything. But for us, it's really important to get that accurate, because if it's not accurate, then it not only is bad for the reporting, but you start to create things in your mind thinking that it's going well, when it's really not. A lot of the times, me and Ryan see an add to cart or begin checkout a primary conversion action. So when you see that as a primary conversion action, then the conversion value could be doubled or tripled in this case, because if one purchase is a primary conversion action, so is add to cart, begin checkout, that one purchase is 3x on a conversion value. So that could be something that is inflated, and once things get inflated like that, you start thinking, oh well, maybe I need to run more budget on it. But what if all of it is a primary action, and you start to see that it's more add to carts and actual conversions or purchases? Then you're kind of looking at data that's incorrect. And we've talked about this in our last couple episodes. If you don't have data and you don't have time, then you don't have good insights, because data plus time equals insights. And we really need to build off of that, and accuracy with setting up conversions, and the tracking is super important, right, Ryan?
Absolutely. If you can get those things right, start away, then you're saving yourself so much time and effort, really, because like you said, it can inflate the numbers. You can think that you're doing a lot better than what you are, and actually you're not, and it's being misled, and it's skewing. If anything, it's skewing the conversion data. Your cost per conversion could be like $5, but that could include add to carts, that could include initiate checkouts, that could include phone calls, it could include anything. Whereas actually it might be more like $50 cost per conversion, which makes more sense, right? And you're only tracking purchases. That would make sense to me. If it was $5 cost per conversion, for example, that's a red flag for me. And I would investigate that further and be looking at, okay, well, that doesn't seem right. Either they're really, really good and the offering is there, or they're just, tracking many different conversion actions that aren't necessarily a conversion. So yeah, definitely get that right.
And can I ask you one more thing, Ryan? Have you?
Yeah.
We're not agency side, or Ryan was agency side before, but we're not that. But we see a lot of clients either in audits or just the initial Zoom call where we take a peek at their account, and I see on all the campaigns that it has XYZ agency on it, but the conversion tracking is wrong. And am I too skeptical or sadistic to think that they do that on purpose sometimes, where the conversion settings are wrong, where there's multiple primary conversions to inflate and to keep a client? Is that something that agencies might do, Ryan? What do you think?
No comment.
I don't
honestly,
want to get in trouble here, but
yeah, this is it. I've got to be careful. I don't want to bash any other agencies at the end of the day. I'm just focused on what I can do and what I can deliver for my clients, really. With that being said, I think, back in the agency days, we were just given the client to manage. And it was a case of, okay, well, we get them in this particular state. We're not, it sounds really bad, and I don't feel good about saying it, but we're not paid to do conversion tracking. At that point, we're just paid to manage the campaign. So it's usually, when you're an agency, it's keyword research, ad copy, bid management, bid strategy, negative keywords, keyword research, all that kind of stuff. Conversion tracking is usually taken care of by the web developer or the website team or whatever it might be. So because, like I mentioned before, it's kind of like altering the code a little bit. So, and I have seen instances where I've personally taken taking clients over from other agencies. Well, clients have come to me and they were previously with an agency and they've had conversion tracking, like they've had add to carts and begin checkouts. And, recently I've just kind of got a client back who I had for like 2 years, and he came back to me. And, when I took a look at their conversion tracking, what they'd done, they had purchases, which is good, but they also had, I think, newsletter signups included as the main conversion action. They also had phone calls. And I know for a fact this client told me when I worked with him the first time around, phone calls don't really mean anything to him. He wants to track actual sales and purchases. And newsletters, I mean, I don't really know what that's about. But I think, again, going back to what you said, Gene, it's about making the agency look good. It's about bringing those numbers down, cost per conversion, bringing conversion rate up. So
Yeah, and we're not here to bash any particular agency, but we could be completely honest. If you are going to go agency side with your Google Ads, just beware. There are some agencies out there that are good, and the practices don't fall on the salespeople getting you into a contract, and you're actually going to get an account manager to know how to set these things up. But that's very far and few between. At least with a freelancer like us, we treat every single client as we're a part of their business. So it's very, very personal, and we make sure that all these things are set up, so at least for us, we make sure that that's set up, and you're getting me and Ryan as your account managers, not some junior account person that doesn't have the experience. But yeah, so that's definitely good. Do you have anything else left on conversion tracking, or are we good to move on to the next?
I think we're good to. It's becoming like the conversion tracking episode, but I think we're good to move on. It's important though. It is important.
That's why it's the first point. And me and Ryan
Yeah.
really see eye to eye to this, because we see this every time. We get multiple inquiries a week. And, if you want to learn how to be successful with Google Ads, and you really, truly want to understand where to start with Google Ads, understand that you need conversion tracking. Gone are those days where you could just run, a campaign without any of these things, and maybe you could still do it if you're just doing brand awareness, but you're missing out on a lot of data if you don't get this set up. So we definitely think that's the first step.